Willy Cox and Rodney Speedman. Welcome to Volume Dealer.
Thanks for having us, dude. It's bloody awesome.
Absolute pleasure. That was the loudest band that's ever been in here by far.
That's what we want to hear, man.
Unbelievable. Like I said, me and Borgie got the earplugs out for that one. That was nuts. Absolutely wild. And coming off the back of a show last night.
Damn right. We're out in Geelong with Grim Rhythm, just watching those boys shred. They're bloody good.
That's fantastic, man. So good. Thank you for being here on a Sunday. Much appreciated.
Bit dusty after yesterday, but that's all right.
I bet, man. Well, you wouldn't know it. You guys are, onto it. So, tell me a little bit about how you got into music. I'm just curious always to ask bands when they come in here how they first got into music, whether or not there were some influences that, got them into it, whether it be a older brother, like a sibling or a cousin or a person across the street. There's usually always a story.
You want to take that one, Rodney? Yeah, he doesn't talk much. Yeah, well, I guess how I got into music, like I vividly remember being 10 years old, hanging out with my best mate at the time, and he had an older sister, jamming in a room, sort of, peep in. It's like, what's going on here? Just like, it's really into this band, like, called Nirvana. Do you know them? And it's like, it sounds so stupid to say it now, but it's like, never heard of them, didn't know anything. It's like, nah. It's like, it's really good. Like, I'll give you the CD. And she like burnt me a copy of Nirvana Nevermind to take home.
Wild.
And also, just like afterwards saying, I can teach you these songs. Like, they're not hard. Like, do you want to jam? And of course I'm like, yeah, like that'd be sick. And just jamming Nirvana and just absolutely fell in love with music, fell in love with guitar. And it was kind of just all on from there. And it's kind of crazy to look back now and, playing in bands, meeting all these people, playing overseas, doing all this stuff. And you can sort of trace it all back to that fucking moment.
Yeah, that's the reason I kind of got into music as well. Similar time, that's when my band first started playing when we were that young, and it was Nirvana was the inspiration. And I got to play Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time on guitar. It was epic to actually play along to it. It was cool.
Yeah.
And I can pretty much trace it back to the exact same time, man, which is crazy because I'm probably, I reckon, 10 years older than you.
Right. Well, I guess I also grew up in the country, and I'm an only child, near Wangaratta.
Right.
But I had no point of reference as well. So it's funny looking back as well and like getting handed these CDs from whoever knows where.
Yep.
And just you don't realize the influence of some of these bands as like a little kid.
Did you have a music store in Wangaratta that you used to get stuff from?
Not really.
No?
And
How did you get stuff?
my parents aren't even really into music either, so it's just whatever I could find. Like even like Dad had, we'd be like spraying weeds and stuff, and I'd be driving the ute, and he's spraying weeds, I'm driving the ute, and I'm digging through these dusty old tapes that he hasn't listened to for years, and it's like, oh, there's a Jimi Hendrix tape in here. Oh, there's a Black Sabbath tape in here. Like, this is some good shit, Dad. He's like, oh, that old shit. You don't want to listen to that, but
That's great. That's great. Unreal. I grew up in the country too, so I completely understand. I'm from Lakes Entrance.
that's true.
Yeah, so kind of different. It's not kind of coastal and sort of country, but it's, again, like back in those days, the music store in Lakes was the window to the world, and we had to go. They didn't exactly have the music that we wanted. We find it in the back of Hot Metal magazine or whatever. We'd go into the store, we'd order it, we'd wait 3 months for the phone call, and we'd all be waiting. Hello, it's Soundwaves. Your record's in. Straight down there, grab it, and then from there it would do the rounds through all our friends and stuff. But kind of miss those days. Now it's just you've got everything at your fingertips, and it's kind of
It's like a blessing and a curse. It is, because it's like awesome that you're constantly being bombarded with new music and great bands, and then it's also then hard, I guess, as a band to kind of somehow get out there and make a bit of an impact in a wealth of like amazing bands and talent and stuff, not just in Australia now, but obviously overseas as well.
So speaking of killer bands, the Melbourne scene at the moment, which you guys are well and truly a part of, like, you know, the rock scene especially is just doling out band after band who are just freaking great. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on the Melbourne scene at the moment?
It's just awesome to see. I feel like a metal even resurgence, basically. I feel like it maybe had a bit of a lull there for a bit, and now it's just back full steam. Like, there's so many great bands, and I mean, yeah, everyone's mates, you know, and it's just so it's awesome to, you know, whether you're playing a show, going to a show, just seeing so much talent, so many bloody great people. It's epic. It's really, really cool.
Yep. Yeah, I know. You know, we're very spoiled here. There's so many good venues. When one closes down, another one seems to pop up. And
you've done a good job of getting some sick bands already in for a volume dealer session. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some more soon.
There will. There's never-ending supply, my friend. Yeah, no, it's great. It's very positive and optimistic for somebody my age and who's been in the scene for 30 years now, to sort of, you know, be doing this and sort of not be jaded, which is an easy thing to sort of have happen if you've been in the scene for such a long time. But, you know, the fact that there's just that many great bands coming up now that are...
I think it's also cool that it's like not only, you know, people like, you know, doing well in Australia just on local shows, but now we're actually seeing so many of those great bands from Melbourne or wherever actually getting through and doing some, you know, Europe stuff, whatever. It's really sick. I mean, Aardvark's a good example, going to Europe last year. Doing a release on Dying Victim, or the Myths.
Yeah, Myths about to go.
They did their release on Dying Victims, and that was kind of the catalyst as well for us to be like, well, maybe we should hit them up for a release, like a German label. And like, we're very lucky to put our album out on that label, and it sort of opens doors, you know, for opportunities in the future. And it's so sick to see, you know, bands getting out, not just in Australia, but Europe, wherever, you know.
Live a life for the rest of his head.
So, speaking of your new album, so this is it here. Always love it when the band's bring it in on vinyl for everyone to get a good look at. That's freaking awesome. Love it. It's great. That's some quality old school artwork you got there, boys. Fantastic. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about how you recorded this record. I'm just curious always to know the sort of the process the band's
Sure.
run through. And who'd you do it with?
Yeah, so we did it with Jason Fuller at Goat Sound, who's like a local legend. Actually a Wang boy as well, which is a funny little connection for us. But yeah, we kind of approached it like, you know, an old school album where we wanted to do it as much as possible live and in the room.
Fantastic.
And kind of as well, like maybe a bit rough and ready. But basically we just booked in 2 days in the studio and said like, we're recording everything that we can. And, you know, so we did live tracked everything, drums, guitar, bass, smashed that all out, you know, in 1 day, and then had another day of like dubbing guitars and some bits and pieces on the second day. And then basically from there, we then took it back because we have a bit of a studio thing at home and just did the vocals and some solos and stuff at home where we could kind of, I guess there's no pressure then, and you're not paying for it as well, which is handy. And you can kind of get a bit creative as well and drink a million beers, which is handy as well. But so it's pretty much the bulk of the album. Probably 80% of the album was done in 2 days.
That's great. Yeah.
Just it. I love working with Fuller as well. I've done an album previously with Fuller. Yeah. And it's very old school, just like set up mic, you know, 57 in front of a cab and all right, play the song. There you go. And you know, it sounds like the band, you know?
Yep. That's what you want, man. I wholeheartedly agree with that process. 100%. That's why I kind of like doing this, is capturing a band in its essence. Capturing the energy more than anything.
Yes, it's funny you say that because that was something that we sort of talked about, and it's really hard to do, I think, especially now in the age of digital recording, whatever, is to, you know, you can play all the right notes, but can you get that energy and whatever, that vibe, basically. Right. I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of with this album is like, it's grabbing you by the scruff of the neck and you're in it, you know, and that's the hardest thing to actually get on the tape.
Totally, 100%. Yeah, that's why I love sort of getting more rock bands and metal bands, because the metal scene or like recording metal is becoming increasingly more difficult to do.
Right.
Because there is more restrictions in terms of like there are more dogmatic rules about how it needs to sound and has to be perfect. Nothing can be out of place.
Totally. Well, see, we went almost the opposite with that, which then Fuller said straight away, well, what do you want it to sound like? And we're like, well, we're just a Motorhead ripoff band, dude. Like, it has to sound like that.
Yep.
And even like leaving some of those rough edges in it because it makes it human and it makes it real, you know?
Yep. you guys have got a couple of shows coming up. I noticed that you're playing at Steel Assassins up in Sydney.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah, we're very keen to go up to Sydney for that.
Yep.
There's some great Melbourne bands on the lineup as well. Like I think Reaper's going up and a few others, and yeah, just really, really sick bands. Yeah,
Yep.
should be good.
Fantastic. You been to Sydney before?
Been to Sydney before, played Sydney a few times. Haven't played this venue before.
Whereabouts?
Should be good. That's a bloody good quiz.
That's all right. I'll have
Check Instagram.
I'll have the poster flashed up whilst we're discussing this. Any other shows? You got any Melbourne shows coming up?
We're kind of laying low a little bit for the rest of the year because we had a pretty big year last year. We got another show in September at the Bendigo with Neptune Power Federation.
Awesome.
Bloody belter. But other than that, at the moment, we're kind of laying low, working on the second album. Yeah,
That's great. And when do you plan on having that? Or when are you going in to record it, do you know?
we actually just had that discussion last night, so I think we're gonna maybe shoot for early next year to maybe aim for that. There's a bunch of songs already written for it, but we're kind of yet to sink our teeth in. So keen to have this release under our belt now, and kind of great. When's the next one? You know?
Unreal, man. Awesome. So, as we do with every band, we've got some limited edition merch items that we're going to do with you guys. I'm going to flash them up on the screen while we're discussing this. So, the artwork itself is related to one of the songs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a design from our single, one of the singles, Loser.
Yep.
Yeah, on Dying Victims, they put out 3 singles with the album. We sort of did like different designs for each, single.
Who did the actual design?
It's Oscar Bonin, a tattoo artist in Melbourne, Hellraiser. Awesome artist. I should give Sorka a shout out as well. Sorka on bass. She's also a photographer, and she did the back cover photo as well. It's really, really cool.
It is very 80s inspired.
It's one of the best things, I feel like, playing in a band. You get to also then collaborate with different artists.
Yep.
So yeah, the Loser design is like, I guess, the single artwork. Yeah.
Fantastic, man. That's awesome. So yeah, if anybody's interested, by all means, hit us up on the website and yeah, support the band, support the show. Fellas, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. You guys rocked. That was fantastic. Can't wait to put it together. It's going to come up really good, I am sure. So yeah, thank you so much for being here on a Sunday.
Thanks so much, dude.
Cheers, man.
I know that